Alright, United States, hazardous material instructions for rail by the Association's American Railroad, January 4th, 2011. Alright, table of contents. Introduction, purpose, policy, questions, print date, version, regulatory updates, edition, correction, section 1, general information, definition, hazardous material, general dot requirements, expending hazardous material shipment, exclude exemptions in the U.S. government, material, international shipment, section 2, required documentation, general requirements, acceptable shipping papers, acceptable emergency response information, documentation, indication of position and train, checking the shipping papers, reviewing shipping paper entry for the reporting marks for the numbers of the total quantity, notation, proper shipping name, hazard class, numbered worked, numeric and word, identified number, packaging group, emergency response telephone number, additional entries, handling situation when shipping papers and required entries are not available, checking emergency response information. Checking for position and train documentation, handling shipping papers received from the customer, handling hazardous waste shipping from the paper and manifest, handling respective of the shipping papers, emergency response information, section 3, inspection, general inspection, inspection of all or procedures, all car types from ground level, the implied car, marked tanker car from ground level, the implied car, marked gondola cars from ground level, the implied car, marked hopper car for ground level, inspection, shipping, implied cards, explosive 1.1, 1.2 for ground level, inspection, implied card, iron module shipments over the ground level, the handling defects. Section 4, black cards marking, general requirements, black card requirements, inspection, black cards, marking requirements of the inspection, marking, identification, normal marking, number marking, marine, pollutant marking, elevated temperature material marking, limited quantities marking, inhalation hazards, and commodity name. Tanker car specification, quantity, date, stencils, fumigation marked and non-orderized mark. Section 5, switching, general requirement safety, when to use switching chart, how to use the switching chart. Section 6, steering placement, general requirements when using position and train chart, how to use in position and train chart, general information. Section 7, key trains, general requirement, the key definition, identified with the key train within instruction operation key train. Section 7, emergency response, general requirement when a fire or vapor cloud is visible, when no fire or vapor cloud is visible, cooperation, local emergency responders, handling leaking hazard material shipment, appendices, list of materials required with the commodity name of the tanker cars, glossary list, a table, the list of figures. Alright, purpose. One of the industry's primary focus for the continue with the safety and transportation has material for the bolt rail employee with the interact with the regulator with the employee with the other railroads with the subscribing railroads implement with the consistently apply a set of the rules regulations significantly enhance the both our employees and safety of the communities throughout which we operate with each railroads involved with developing the United States hazard material instruction for rail. Therefore, the work together to create the instructions that employ with the transport hazard material. The general guidelines may appropriately modify with the individual railroad to be consistent with the unique operating rule practice policy to handle the hazard material shipment incident with safely, efficiently, without delay, and in accordance with the local, state, and federal regulations, and pair with the familiar safety yourself with the United States hazard material instruction rail. In addition, the operating rule of these instructions provide the guidance on how to perform the duties, and both you and the company will comply with the Department of Transportation regulations. Transportation employees will inspect with the transportation hazard material made by rail by the copy of the comply with the United States hazard material instruction for rail. Employees who transport hazard material must also comply with the current emergency response guidebook or ERG with the readily accessible while on duty. Company will provide the appropriate testing and training with each of the employees directly affected with the hazard material transportation safety. Always keep in mind what the company requires you to comply with the law and the compliance of the letter and spirit of the obligation of the good corporate citizenship of the basic achieving the qualified in all areas of the operation and each of us of the duties to see with the rules railroad action consistent with the highest legal and ethical standards. Question. 3 questions. For questions of the United States hazard material instructions, contact your immediate supervisor. Print day and version 4. 5 regulatory updates in addition and correction. Should be submitted to the Association of American Railroad Hazard Material Bureau Explosive Committee for review. If approved, the change will occur with the next publication of the United States hazard material instruction for rail. Section 1. General information. Definition of the hazard material. Hazard material is defined with the substance material for the Secretary of the Transportation determined with the capability of posing unreasonable risk of the health and safety and property of the transmitted in commerce. B. Hazard material are classified according to the chemical and physical properties of the 9 numeric hazard classes. Some of these divided into divisions. 2 word hazard classes. A hazard material is assigned only to one hazard class if it meets the definition of more than one hazard class. Table 1 lists the hazard class of a division. The term hazard material includes the hazard substance, hazard waste, elevated temperature materials, hot and molten marine pollutants. We're going to skip the subdivisions. We're just going to read the top 8 or top 9. Numbered hazard class division: explosive gases, flammable flammable liquids, flammable solid, reactive solid liquids, 5 oxidized or organic peroxide, 6 poison as toxic materials, infectious substances, 7 reactive material, 8 corrosive material, 9 miscellaneous hazard material. Worded hazard classes: combustible liquid regulated with the bulk packaging, regulated with the non-bulk packaging, hazardous substance, hazard waste, marine pollutant, ORMD, or other regulated materials. D, except for the placard labeling with the rail transportation must be subject to packaging material with the possible shipping paper requirements. 2, general requirement: no person may offer except for the transport has material of the commerce within the left of the material that's properly described and packaged with the material marked, labeled, and placard is used in proper condition with the transport or rotation according with the dot and international regulations. No person transport that has material of the commerce of the unless the hazardous material is in hand with the transported according to the dot regulation. Note: the railroad published information restriction within imposed against the acceptance of delivery transportation hazardous material will refer to the restriction of the individual party with the intermodule restriction on the hazard material found with the current issue of the tariff of the number BOE 6000. Expediting hazard material shipment. The local hazard material shipment both loaded with the residue empty time on the percentage of the shipment with the G table 2 must be forwarded either within 48 hours excluding Saturday, Sundays, and holidays with accepting with the shipper's facility receiving any yard, intermediate transfer station, interchange point, or when only bi-weekly or weekly services is performed in the first above available train toward the destination. Exemption with the 48-hour period requirements do not apply with the shipment of the consecutively placed and set out with the orders. Table 2 signs time-sensitive shipments. Ethanol refrigerated liquids UN 1038, hydrogen refrigerated liquid UN 1966, chloropene stabilized UN 1991, flammable liquid number 5 or NOS UN 1993, hydrogen chloride refrigerated UN 2186, vinyl fluoride stabilized UN 1860, 30-day Sterling monomer stabilized UN 255 or 2055, flammable liquid, NOS, recycled styrene, UN 1993. Exemptions: U.S. government material. The Department of Energy of the Department of Defense shipment made from the purpose of the national security company with the escort personally specialized designated by or under the authority of the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, with the not subject to the dot regulation with the instruction with this book. Escort must travel to separate transport vehicle with the rail carrier with the carrying of the hazard material. The escorts must also have the possession of the document carrier certifying the shipment is in for the purpose of national security. 5. International shipment. The international shipment that has material included the shipment of from to and from Mexico or Canada move with the prior international document. International placards may be transported with the United States from U.S. port with the entry with the U.S. destination, moving from the U.S. to a foreign destination, or from U.S. point of origin, international port of entry. One of the cards are either returning a residual shipment that regulated with the international but not in the U.S. Section 2. Required documentation. General requirements. No person may accept the hazard material for the shipment of the rail transportation transport with the hazard material train with unless the number of the crew with each of the following documents: acceptable shipping papers, acceptable merger response information on paper to document showing the current position has material shipment in the train with the purpose of the documentation provided by the railroad personnel and emergency response personnel with the accurate information about the hazard material. Therefore, keep all of the current hazard materials documents neat and orderly, ensure that they are all available to case of the emergency inspection, properly placed, properly discarded and pressed documents for the element with the possible confusing and inconsistent information. 2. Acceptable shipping papers. As one of the following documents acceptable shipping paper that has material shipment as long with it is included with the required shipping description with the C. Item 6 of the section is legible and printed with the manually and mechanically in English railroad produce paper documents. For example, the train consists of the train list of the wheel reports, waybill for the industrial way orders or other similar documents. Customer produced documents. For the example, the bill landing of the include with the United Parasol Service with the hazard material, the packets in the switch list, the connection of the carrier documents, a hand-printed document, printed not cursive letters, but not, for example, the radio way bills, the hazard way of the manifest, acceptance of the emergency response information. Emergency response book contains the acceptance of the emergency response of the information emergency response guide book, supplement with the emergency response information printed as part of the train listing consisting of the provided with the customer, for example, material safety data sheets. 4. Documenting indicating position of the train before moving hazard material shipment in the train with a member of the crew must have the paper with the document with the current position train with the hazard material shipment loaded with the residual or empty, the making the pickup or set out sync update with the document before proceed with the train crew must update with the document handwriting on it or by appending it and attaching it and another document to it. 5. Checking for the shipping paper to making sure that the crew and the paper copy with acceptable shipping paper with the required entry with each for the hazard material, accepting hazard material shipment with the customer facility interchange or other location, moving hazard material shipment in the train with the delivering hazard material shipment with the customer facility interchange or other set out point, switching hazard material shipments over the outside yard. No shipping papers are not required. Switching crew possession with the moving the hazard material shipment within a yard of customer facility. Exemption, although they may remain placarded, marked residual or empty, elevated temperature material tank cars do not require hazard material shipping papers or emergency response information. 6. Review of the shipping paper entry for the review of the shipping documents entry for the hazard material with the shipping paper to make sure that they follow the entries A, G under this item are present with the figure 1 show with the 2 formats each have an acceptable variation displaying shipping description entries. 8. Figure 1, A, reporting mark and initial number. The shipping paper of the rail car, freight container, transport vehicle, the portable tank include with the reporting mark number only with the reporting mark number that is displayed with the rail car, freight container, transport, and portable tank. Total quantity notation. For empty packaging with the bulk packaging cylinders, class 2 of the material, some of the indication of the total quantities must be shown with a certain abbreviations or acceptable. For example, the 1 or the slash TC with the tanker car, 1CL with the car loaded, 1 car loaded, or 10 CYL or 10 cylinders. For a number non-bulk packaging with the total quantity that is given in by both. Weight of the volume included with the unit of the measurement and number of the total type of the packages. And for class 1, the quantity must also be net explosive mass. Proper shipping name. The proper shipping name of the hazard material may be one of the more words of the such as the chlorine, sulfuric acid. Proper shipping name may include with the number of the indicated the concentration of the material that not otherwise specified. Shipping name appears with the technical name, product, and parent with the parentheses immediate NOS or shipping name such for the corrosive liquid of the not otherwise specified capryl chloride residual empty shipment of the tanker car but must include the residual last contained associated with the basic description from proper shipping name of the word. The waste shipment with the word waste will be perceived with the proper shipping of the name of the word. Alright, D, hazard class for the American word. Reference for the information for the hazard class is view the definition for the glossary of the list of the hazard class for the division in the table of 1. For certain hazard for the subsidiary hazard class that will appear in parentheses the effect of the primary hazard class. For example, the ethanol oxide is listed in 2321 and chlorine is listed in 23518. Hazard class has must not be need not to repeat the combustible liquid and not otherwise specified shipments. Class 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6 may show the compatible group letter after the hazard class of the letter of no significant in rail transportation. E. Identification number. The 4-digit identification number must appear with the shipping paper with the respective United Nations and the NA for North America with the appropriate with the note, but the identification number may be found with either before the proper shipping name of the hazard class of the unit until January 1st, 2013. Identification must appear with before the proper shipping name. Packaging group. The packaging group must appear with the shipping names of the Roman numerals for the packaging group may be perceived with the PG1, PG2, PG3. Exemptions 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1. Self-reactive liquid solid types of the type BF, the 5, 2, 6, 2, and 7, or other ORM do not require the packaging group notation. In addition, with the following identification number to the class of 3, 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 5, 1, 8, and 9 do not require packaging group notation. Alright, emergency response telephone number. The ship ticket for the hazard material that must show with the 24-hour emergency response telephone number to include with the area of the code for the event of the emergency involved with the hazard material with the telephone number to outside of the U.S. and United States with the international access with the code with the plus sign with the country with the code with the city with the code appropriately must include in some case with the shipping paper, shipping name with the contractor number to be shown with the before and after the emergency response telephone number. Exemption emergency response telephone numbers are not required with the hazard material is shown limited quantity, LTD quantity, proper shipping name of the battery powered equipment of the vehicle with the carbon dioxide solid drive, the castor, beam, meal, flake of the prominence, consumer commodity of the engine, internal combustion, fish, metal, scrap, and stabilized, fumigated unit, refrigerating machine, wheelchair, electric vehicle, flammable gas powered vehicle, flammable liquid powered. Additional entries. Some of the hazard material shipped in description may contain one or more of the entries. Residual last contained for packaging is empty with the maximum extent possible. H hot notation for the adapt added before proper name and shipping for elevated temperature materials. RQ for the reported quantity notation for the hazard. Something marine pollutant notation positive. Poison toxic notation. Poison toxic inhalation hazard. PIH or TIH inhalation hazard. IH notation. Hazardous zone notation. Zone A, Zone B, Zone C, Zone D. Limited quantity. LTD, QTY, FRA, movement approval, and dot specific permit, and special approval of the numbers and competent authority numbers. .113, notation, Hazard Material Response Code. Uncertain shipment described in the Canadian regulation may contain both the emergency response plan number for the activation telephone number. Both asterisks are with or without word. We're not required to adopt but may appear with the railroad produced documents. 14. Shipper notifications. 15. Oil notation. 16. Additional radioactive material entry for the 17. Name of the address for the place for the business for the Canada's cosigner. The name of additional hazardous waste for the shipping description entity for the EX number for the bag module for this classified in class 9. Note recycle the airbags module does not require the EX number to entry, but must have the recycle the place description. 20 for international shipping notice of notation over the dangerous good and accept the quantities as appropriate. 7. The handling situation where the shipping paper required the entry for the not available. The appropriate shipping paper is not present within all required entry for the shipping paper provided that are not present. Do not move the car until the appropriate shipping paper with the required entry for the shipping paper. The president take one over the 3 action and correct existing document. The contact with the two muster or supervisor for the request for the entries required for the complete with the shipping description legibly prior to the entry for the appropriate sequence. Section 2, item 6, operating the appropriate shipping paper with the shipper, the supervisor of their appropriate personnel, or use the radio waybill with the contact with the supervisor of the dispatcher request for the appropriate entry for the radio waybill. See Figure 2 for the exempt of the radio waybill. The supervisor of the dispatcher will provide the requested entry for the radio telephone to you. Complete the radio waybill by using the information supervisor the dispatcher provided. Note if a radio waybill form is not available, legibly print and required hazard material information on the sheet paper, include car initials and numbers. See section 2, item 6. Keep the radio waybill with the other shipping documents over the reaching final destination, receiving and other shipping paper the appropriate entities. For each of the radio waybill issued, add the car initial number and the position in the train document. 8. Checking with emergency response information when accepting the transportation hazard material shipment to make sure that they comply with the emergency response information for each of the shipments. Section 2, item 3. If the response information is not available, do not accept the transport of the car. 9. Check with the position in the train document when the transportation hazard material shipment if the position in the train, and make sure that the member of the crew has the paper document including indicating the current position of the train hazard material shipment. If the paper document including indicating the current position of the train, each of the hazard is not available, update the paper documents are already in possession. Create hand printed list of showing the position of the train of each of the hazard material shipment. Note if the list must show the reporting mark for the number of each of the hazard material shipment in the train with the actual position of the train. Alright, show the hazard material radio waybill, train number, the number of the cars near the end, car initial, the total quantity notation, circle 1 of the tank car, load, red sides or low S, contain other than the specified weight, volume, the number of the packaging of the cars, description, articles, identification number, proper shipping to 8, technical, 9 primary hazard class, subsidiary hazard class, packaging group 1, 2, or 3, reportable quantity, position, inhalation, tax rate, zone A, B, C, or D, marine pollutant, dot, special permit number, additional emergency response plan number, the emergency response plan, telephone number, emergency contact, completed date and time. 10. Handling shipping paper, the receiver of the customer. When picking up the hazard material, shipping paper, the customer provided with the origin with the shipping paper, check with the appropriate hazard material entities, loading of the shipping to make sure the shipping certification, signature, stationer, and the mechanical means are with the shipping paper, the receiver of the customer. 11. The handling hazard with waste shipping manifest. So the shipping paper, the hazard with waste shipment must also follow the entries, addition with the entry of the required with the hazard material shipment, the proper shipping description, the name of the address, the telephone number, the hazard waste generator, the name of the address for the hazard waste disposal facility, name of the transporter waste for the manifest for the number of the special handling instructions. When accepting the hazard waste shipment with the railroad generated with the shipping paper for the shipment of the contained with the hazard waste manifest for the A below with the picking up of the car with the contained with the hazard waste with the copy of the hazard waste manifest with the accepting hazard waste shipment with the railroad shipping and shipments for the which count for the hazard waste manifest both of the hazard waste shipment description section 2 the item 6 A through G for the hazard waste manifest A above. All entries present with the hazard waste manifest pick up of the car with contained with the hazard waste with a copy of the hazard waste manifest. When accepting of delivering the shipping of the paste for the hazard waste and for the hazard waste generated, sign of the hazard waste manifest is required. Return the copy of the hazard waste manifest to requesting the signature. 3. Mail the remaining copy of the hazard waste manifest to the blank. 12. The handling requests the shipping paper of the emergency response information. Receiving the request of the shipping paper of the emergency response information from the railroad employee with regulatory enforcement officer, emergency response personal emergency. Share all information with the shipping paper of the shipping. Share all of the available emergency response information. transportation. Section 3, inspection. General requirement. To determine the acceptable condition for the transportation of all the load, residual, empty habitable material shipment, they must be inspected at these points. Before accepting the shipment, when receiving the interchange with a note with a run through the train with the receipt of the interchange may contain with the next inspection point before being placed in inspection. When placing for them in the train and at other points for the inspection required is in 100 miles of inspection, except for the transportation of those hazardous materials should they conform these instructions. Yeah. All right. Continuing. Alright. Inspection procedure. In addition with the inspection of rail car, the compliant with the will train with the makeup of the adequate buffer cover, the shiftable load with the temperature of the control equipment, C position, train chart with the instruction 1 through 5, as with the well, with the mechanical requirements visually inspect with each of the load with the residual empty hazard material with the shipment, included with the flat card, transportation black card, marked trailer and contained with adjacent with the rail with the, from the ground level that do not climb or go under the car and check for the leakage required plaque with the marking, including stencil certificate qualification date, see section 4 with the details, secure and fastening enclosures, designed for the tampering suspicious item with the items for the due belong with the president of the improvised explosive device, other sign with the security of the car has been comprised. Note, whenever the indicator of the tampering with the form of the object is found with the following actions, do not accept the move of the railway car, immediately move yourself to the other safe location while away from the rail car before leaving the radio telephone chain with the make of the notification for customer with the facility. Immediately contact with the local plant personnel. If the local plant personnel is not available, cannot explain what you see, with immediately contact with the train with the dispatcher file, specifically the railroad instructions. For cars to interchange track with the, or in the yard, immediately contact the yardmaster train dispatcher for the following of the specific railway instruction. A. Inspect all of the car type from the ground level. Without climbing over the car, with the make sure that it has the material shipment. If it is not leaking, look for leaking of the content dripping wet into the material of the car on the ground. Look for the vapor cloud for a hissing sound with the contents escaping. Note if you have the hazard material shipping leak with the file with the instruction item 3 with the section 4 and section 8 of the emergency response item 8 with the make sure of the plaque card with the marking of the appropriate with the shipment with the descriptive displayed correctly with the section 4 of the plaque card markings. 3. Before accepting the hazard material shipment with the shipper to make sure that all the customer loading and unloading of lines are disconnected, derailed, chalks and blue flags removed, all platform are raised from the clear, inspect the black card with the marked tanker car from the ground level, the car, check for the black card with the tanker car with the tank car marked with the identification number to see if the protective housing cover are closed, manway covering swinging bolts are up in place, and all valves with the heading with the here with the closed and secure with the plugs and cap will be included with the both bottom outlet caps. Other fittings are securely in place. Note when the heater coils are provided, they must be applied with the double shelf coupler with the roller bearings are present. C. Inspection of placard marked gondola with the ground level. Look loosely for fastened gondola covers. Make sure the cover with the tie downs do not fully follow any of the safety applying for the inspection placard marked hopper cover for the ground level. Check for the discharge gate for the closed and secure. But inspect for the shipment placard with explosive 1-1 and 1-2 for the ground level. In addition, for the other inspection requirement, the section shipment placards explosives 1-1 and 1-2 with the look for the identification damage for the contents. Make sure for the complete with the car with certificate. It's figure 3 with the car certificate is displayed on the both side of the rail car. Car certificate must be removed with the rail car with the trailer with the containers unloaded with the car certificates are either 7-1 by 7-1 inches or 5-9 by 7-9 inches inside, but do not accept for the transportation car until the damage has been corrected, but the car certificates are in place. Are inspected with the black card marked intermodule shipment of ground level addition completing with the other inspection requirements of the section. Make sure the intermodule container car with the hazard material that is not transported with the container above or below the tank. Make sure the black cars are fully visible with the container loaded in the well car. With make sure the intermodule tanks are placed in the bottom outlet valve with the pointing toward the ends of the well or platform. Handling defects. The hazard material shipment does not appear to be prepared for the transportation except for the hazard material shipment allow it to continue the transportation. Or allowed it to continue transportation. Notify the customer, trains, dispatcher, yardmaster, immediate supervisor as appropriate to explain the problem. Section 4, plaque cards and markings.